Imagine if no one joins us.
Mate, that was my worst fear last night.
Oh,
How do you It's all a learning curve, eh?
trial and error. If no one comes, it's an early night for me.
Here we go. I can see it. Oh, no, don't put the sound on.
Is it up there, mate?
It's all a learning curve, eh? Hear that?
Yeah.
Okay. So if people, as they jump on, want to say hello and let us know they're watching and make sure that the sound's okay, that would be that'd be awesome too. We'll just wait for them all to pile in to see Dennis Armfield.
Doubt it, mate. I doubt it. Might have to share that link to me mum and dad just so we get a couple of people.
Got a couple of Carlton family members, mate. So they'll be right on it. We got Mickey Donohue's joined us.
There he is.
Beauty. Got a few on. I'll give it another minute or so, and then we'll jump into it. We've got Jason's joining us, who was our guest last night. Hey, Jace. Jason's on his way to the city. I just spoke to him. He's going to go hang out. And I know people will probably kick back at this, but he's going to hang out with people that he's friends with that are homeless. And I mean, as he said, we're going to go into lockdown. It'll be the last time he gets to see them, and he's going to drop off some necessities. So it just goes to show and reiterate all what last night was about. What a fantastic guy. Absolutely blessed to know him. So we might kick it off. So before you get carried away talking, Dennis, I better introduce you to those that don't watch the football and don't know much about Business Fight Club. So Dennis Armfield, he's a former player with the Carlton Football Club, competing in the AFL. He was born in Canberra. Dennis was raised then in Perth and drafted from the Swan Districts in the 2007 National Draft. Played his first senior game for Carlton in 2008 and reached a significant 100-game milestone in 2013. Dennis has gone on to play 10 seasons at the highest level, amassing 145 senior AFL games, 75 goals. But what I personally find incredible is Dennis's willingness to help further support the community and peers every single day, living his mantra, live to give. This has seen Dennis partner up with Odyssey House through the Carlton Football Club Community Partnership Program in 2013 as a volunteer, where he would do that weekly. But as I said, his willingness to want to do more turned into an ambassador role that is still going on as we speak. Through his role as an ambassador for Odyssey House, a drug and rehabilitation centre, he would leave football training at Carlton and volunteer until the late hours of each evening on a regular basis. Dennis was recognised for his contribution to community and Odyssey House with the illustrious AFL Jim Stynes Award in 2015. Through that, Dennis was also a recipient of a $20,000 cheque in which he donated back to community programs of his choice. In addition to his time at Carlton, Dennis was a regular contributor to the club's community programs through the Royal Children's Hospital and Parkville Juvenile Justice Centre. Dennis has gone on to be the assistant coach for AFL women's team North Melbourne Kangaroos. Damn it. And now playing coach with the Park Orchards Football Club. As I mentioned, he lives by the motto of live to give, and he's passionate about helping people live a life of success in their chosen fields, both either sport or through business. He's also an author of a book about his transition from elite sports back to normal life, or whatever we call that, bringing these words from the book to action as head of Business Fight Club, and that's where I got to know Dennis. Business Fight Club's an organisation that is passionate change makers, focus on helping all men stop and address the issues in life at home, holding them back from being their best self, which I am 100% about. Dennis, mate, you are much larger than life, and I can vouch for that from our time together, and you bring a great deal of passion to the world, in which I can't wait to share with everyone tonight. So welcome, mate, to Confined by Walls, Not by Our Heart.
Mate, look, what an introduction. I could get used to listening to that. Almost fell off my chair. My head got that big. But no, look, pleasure to be here, and always honoured to be in your presence, mate. So thank you.
Mate, I want to start here, and I'm going to play a little clip, which will also fill me full of joy. But because I was the Carlton kid growing up, and I specifically remember the time Carlton grabbed Chris Judd, which you're a big part of that trade. The same year you came across, and all of a sudden it breathed life into the Carlton Football Club, or just for a little moment there when we got Juddy and Dennis Armfield, of course. So it breathed a lot of life into myself being a little Carlton fan, and but you've also become quite the cult hero for those young Carlton members. And I absolutely love it. So I'm going to play a little clip just for everyone out there. I'll get so much out of this.
That's what he's out there for, Gary. Let's start a business. Smarty should have done a better take on Dennis. He was run down from behind. Going through the hands of Graham, and then goes back to find the footy to Bell. Bell and Dennis. Dennis Armfield. Sneaks him through the gun.
How good's this?
He gets on the end of it beautifully.
At least I got 3 fans through my career.
Mate, I'm just touching on that. As I said, I'm glad you can join me, and there'll be plenty of people out there that love their AFL, Carlton members included. But if you just want to run us through, the whole process of your AFL career, how it all started, because you were a late one to the AFL system. You were rugby union, is that right?
Yeah, well done, mate. Good research. Look, story short and sharp, mate. Grew up playing rugby union until I was about 17. Played a couple of games of school football. And I was fortunate enough to get to Swan Districts and play a couple of years there. And I had to change sport due to my dad changing jobs. He had to work longer, so I couldn't travel to the local rugby club. So I was a bit of a sports nut. I love my sport, wanted to do something. So the local football club was a bit closer, so I went down there and applied my learning to the sport, and was fortunate enough to get down to Swan Districts, like I said, and was there for around 5 years or so, and missed out on the draft twice. And then in my third and final year, didn't think much of it, just enjoyed it, and the rest is history, mate. Where I was fortunate enough to get picked up by the Carlton Football Club.
Now, I know a bit of background on that, how you got picked up. So can you touch on the moment you did get picked up, because it wasn't something you were expecting?
No, look, I was at a pre-season training day at the beach. We're doing a beach recovery session, and we're in the water, and draft was on, and I, if I'm 100% honest, didn't think I was going draft day, maybe rookie draft if I was very lucky. One of the boys yelled out, "Congrats, Dennis, pick 19 to Geelong." And I was like, really ecstatic, cheering and high-fiving. And then he said, "No, not real. Just pulling your leg." And I sort of thought, yeah, right, well done. And then one of the dads was sitting up on the beach, sort of waiting for his son, obviously. And he yelled out, "Pick 46 to Carlton." And I yelled out some things that I probably won't say on here, telling him to go and get. Because I was like, I'm not ready for another joke. And my phone was in my car at the time, so I wasn't really worried about it, and got back to the car to about 10 missed calls, and I was like, oh, wow, this is real. And, the next voice I heard was Greg Swan from Carlton Footy Club saying, "Next flight out of here tomorrow morning, first one in the morning, we'll see you soon." And now I've been here ever since.
How was the transition from, such a short time frame to being put on a plane and straight into the system? How did you go about adjusting into life in not only a new state, but a new environment?
Yeah, look, mate, to be honest with you, I was pretty fortunate that I got to travel over here with another West Australian boy, Stephen Brown, and we both got put in the same host family's house. Her name was Sally Wilson, and she looked after both of us. So that sort of protected me a little bit. It gave me the opportunity to have that comfort. And I was also lucky that we came over early November, and we were sort of travelling back to Christmas break in mid to late December. So it was sort of like a 4-week introduction. So you sort of broke the ice there. And then when we came back to reality post-Christmas, then it all started to sort of go, righto, here I am, and this is what I do now, and let's get ready to rumble.
The disciplines that come from AFL, it's one thing that I've always admired of those that go through the system. Do you want to talk to us a little bit more about how were you always that disciplined, or did you always have that work ethic and mindset that it took to play at the highest level?
It was probably something that my dad instilled in me, was always push yourself to be the best you can be. And I think that's why I got to where I got to, if I'm honest, because I was never there to say I've got to get to that level or I'm good enough. It was just always go to the next, go to the next, go to the next, and do whatever you can to try to push your body, your mind, and your environment that you live in to get to the next level, and be the best I could be, whether that was getting drafted, getting to Swan Districts, or just playing local footy or not playing at all. It wasn't like I was set on that. It was just about, I didn't want to, be happy with where I was at. I was always keen and eager to chase more. And I was fortunate enough that kept pushing me through the ranks. I had to work very hard. Obviously, didn't know what a drop punt was, didn't know what a handball was.
You still don't.
That's look, a lot of Carlton fans will say that.
Talk is.
But yeah, so I had to work a lot of behind the scenes very hard, and I was dedicated to do that. I was someone that was passionate about chasing my goals and my dreams, and I wasn't going to let anything get in the way of that in terms of self-sabotage. And it was all about leaving no stone unturned, and that was something that my father instilled in me was, if you give it your 100%, you give it your crack, whether that's in school, whether that's in your friendships, whether that's in your health, whether that's in sport, you can't be upset with that. And I think that's where, that was my motto, mate. It was just give it all you got and see where it takes you. And I think that's what I still live by, and that's what I'm passionate about now in post-football career. And I'm standing up at the plate, mate, and swinging as hard as I can and see where the ball goes, mate. That's what's going to happen.
No, I love that though. But it only took you a handful of rounds before you got your first game. But there was a little bit of a setback before that. Do you want to talk us through what could have been?
Yeah, kind of flat, mate. Could have got to probably 150 games. That would have looked nice on the repertoire. But no, look, I got told, we're going into Carlton in round 10 in my first year, and I got told pretty much, going into playing West Coast, the week before I got told, mate, if you get through VFL, you'll be playing next week at home in Western Australia against West Coast. And what WA boy doesn't want to debut at home in front of his family and friends? Unfortunately, went out that weekend, mate, and tore my adductor. So 2-week injury, wasn't travelling home, back into the rehab, missed out on that opportunity. But a good mate of mine, Davey Ellard, got his opportunity, and that brought as much joy to my face, because knowing Davey, we're both Swan Districts boys, and seeing what he did out there really instilled that drive. And we are good enough and we can do this, and self-belief. And fortunate enough, I got to debut against Geelong here at the time it was Telstra Dome, I think, and we copped a flogging, but that's okay. We'll forget that part.
I want to talk to you a little bit about outside of the football department. Obviously, that's been, because I know you don't want to be known as Dennis Armfield, the footballer, and I don't believe you should be either with the amount of work you do. Years down the track, what we're talking 2013, you started your you're volunteering with the Odyssey House. Do you want to explain what Odyssey House is and what was involved there and how that came about?
Yeah, I was fortunate enough, I think late 2011, maybe early 2012, I got invited to do just a visit at Odyssey House, which is a drug and alcohol rehab centre in Templestowe, where they go through foundations of learning to help people with addiction, drug and alcohol addiction, to get them through to reintroduce them into society. And I sort of, through family and friends, have been affected by drug and alcohol addiction. And the big thing for me, mate, was breaking the stigma, because I think everyone deserves a second chance, and we don't know the hardships that they've gone through to be where they are. And just because you've made a couple of mistakes doesn't make you a bad person. So I went out there, and I was really touched by the tour that we got given by a couple of the residents. I got to know several of the staff. And I just asked, I said, look, can I come out here a bit more regularly? And through 2012, I sort of came out pretty regularly. And then late 2013, late 2012, early 2013, I would go out there once a week, if not twice, but majority once a week. As soon as footy finishes at about 4:30, get out there for 5:30. And I was finishing at about 9:30 when they close, and heading home, mate. And literally, I was just a resident. I lived the life of a resident. I was part of it. I was another voice another ear for people to talk to. I think, showing that someone in my position cares about these people was a pretty powerful thing for them. And then it was quite funny, mate. It dawned on me. I was at a Headspace community football game 2 years ago, I think, and a guy comes up to me and goes, "You won't remember me, but I remember you from Odyssey House, and I just want to let you know I've got a beautiful daughter now. I'm 4 years sober, etc., etc." And when it brought a tear to my eye, mate, like to see that, the power that one little thing, me going out there for a night, had on him was, you just lost for words, to be honest.
Yeah, and that's the case. I mean, the ability to share your story, share your knowledge, and that's something that you've been doing for a long time. But I mean, it's a great one for anyone that's tuning in to understand that we all have what it takes to impact and move and shift people to greater things just with showing up and being our authentic selves. So I also want to touch on, Dennis, you talked about your setbacks and you talked about setbacks of those people that are in Odyssey House. And I think we can go back to the football at this stage. You had many of them yourself, and it's something that a lot of AFL footballers go through. Do you want to talk about what some of those setbacks were through your football career and how you overcome them, or some of the things that you turn to in those moments to get through it? Because it can be a pretty lonely time, an isolated time like we're going through right now when you're on the injury list.
Yeah, look, I think it's a sort of hard thing, mate, because we say setbacks and we look at injuries and, to be honest, a 2-week hamstring injury or a month-long knee injury or any type of injury seems like it's a massive setback to us, and it seems like the world's ending. But sometimes, and that's why the volunteer work at hospitals and Odyssey House and that put my sort of life in perspective. I'm healthy, I'm fit. I've got one dodgy hamstring for 2 weeks. Like it's not the end of the world. But in a cutthroat industry that AFL is, you want to be out on the park because that's your job and that's how you survive. And a couple of times, mate, I was late in careers where I was out of contract at the end of the year where, I got a couple of knee injuries which set you back, and you had the surgery and you get told the timeline's going to be X amount of weeks, and it gets pushed 1 week, 2 weeks back, and you're isolated by yourself on the sideline. And I think the biggest thing for me about football is the mateship and being in a room with 46 blokes and out on a park with 46 blokes, but all of a sudden you're in a little 3 metre by 3 metre room slugging it away by yourself. And I struggled with that. And then later on in my career, mate, I broke my arm. And this is probably the biggest setback that I had. I was out of contract. I tried to rush by getting a plate put in and get back in 4 weeks was the plan. However, it all got infected and weepy and ended up being almost a 4-month, 5-month process. And I was lucky to get a contract, but then I was slow to start the next year. And just the stresses of that where you're sort of unsure. I was doing a podiatry degree at the time, but you sort of sit there and you go, I don't know where my life's going to go. And that's a setback, but, your selection and all of these setbacks that you deal with, they sound, at the time they were massive. When you don't get picked, it's like the world comes crashing down on you. But I do understand when you put your life in perspective, it's not all that too drastic. But when you don't get picked, when you think your performance was good enough, or you do get dropped, it can be a lonely world. And probably in the middle of my career, I sort of read a lot of things, saw a lot of things, and on here on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and that, and you can sometimes find yourself believing these things, and you've got to have the right people around you to bring you back down or pick you back up, vice versa. And I think I was fortunate enough to have those people, and then later on in my career I was pretty switched on to go, hey Dennis, get off this, otherwise you're going to do your own heading. So
yeah, mate. But on that, I mean, What were some of the things that Dennis Armfield turns to in those moments of time? In those moments, I mean, I know you downplay them, but it is your career, it is your life, it's everything you knew to that moment. What are some of the things that you turn to in those times to help get you through? And what are some of those things that, I mean, as we can see what's happening in the world at the moment, there's a lot of people going through the same thing, injury or not injury. It's isolation. It's that 3x3 room. It's a lot of the things you just talked about. Is there anything that stands out for you that got you through those moments that could be of value to the people that are tuning in?
Yeah, look, mate, I soon learned to sort of control what I can control, and that was something that I really fell back on. I couldn't have an influence on what people did or what others did or what others got given or didn't get given. I had to control what I could do, and that was a lot of my mindset, and turning to glass half full, not glass half empty. I think that a lot of training in that sort of field. Conversations. I'm fortunate enough to have a beautiful wife that in the back half of my career, when it was probably more stressful for me, that saw the brunt of my tears and stress and anxiety, and she was there to talk about it. But I had some really good teammates, which Liam Jones, Lockie Henderson, Aaron Joseph, Dave Ellard that I spoke about. And there are only a few names. There's many, many more that I was fortunate enough that I was pretty open and honest with, and I'm not someone that's afraid to cry or be himself, because that's who I am. And I think if you don't like me, bad luck. That's your decision. And I think being open and honest and having that network of people around me, and then getting away from the game, I think having uni, doing that, having courses, having the community work, going down to a hospital, like I said, and seeing 2-year-old kids fighting for their life, seeing, things that you see that you just sort of go, righto, like it puts you in perspective a little bit. And there's so much more to this world than just a game of footy, even though I'll be honest, mate, my world was that game of football. But yeah, having that outside activities to draw my mind away definitely did save me as well.
Yeah. You touched on balance, because, I mean, I'll touch on balance. You mentioned that the ability to turn and go to uni or to turn and do these other things. Yep. Football was your world for a long time. Now that it's not, what are some of those things that help find you balance and help you transition from football life into the real, well, we say the real world, but there is sort of a football bubble there for a long time for you, 10 years plus. So what are some of the things that help you transition?
Yeah, look, mate, I think, again, people. I'm very fortunate enough that people that I work with, Jeremy Thomas and Andrew Malloy and many more of the crew, helped me transition, understood where I was coming from and where I was trying to go. You said in your introduction that I didn't want to be known as Dennis Armfield, the footballer, and that's quite hard to let go of, because if I'm honest, when I was a little tacker, mate, I was known as the fast runner, the sports person, this, that, and this, and that was the title, and then I became good at rugby, and you're the Dennis that's good at rugby, and then you're the Dennis that's good at football, and now you're the footballer, you're the Carlton footballer. All of a sudden you step out into the real world, as we sort of say, and you go, what am I now? And that was, that loss of identity was pretty tough for me, but I had good people around me to switch me into gear, to know that, I'm much more than just a footballer. I'm a husband, I'm a son, I'm a mate, I am business fire club that we speak about today that I do. And so that sort of helped me transition a lot. I think I'm still hanging on to the game, mate. Like you said, I'm a playing coach at Park Orchards Footy Club, and the football ain't what it used to be anymore, but I think that gives me that outlet to, look, I'm someone that likes to bash and crash. I'm someone that likes the mateship. I'm someone that likes to let me hair down for a few hours of a week to play a game of football. And so that does provide me a huge outlet to transition. But I think, again, having goals and having a pathway to follow and being passionate about other things is something that's sort of got me through as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you touched on the amazing crew that you work with now at Business Fight Club, and you've mentioned Abby and all the people around you. Talk about mentors and leaders. I know you work in the leadership space. How important to you are mentors and leaders?
Mate, I think mentors are very, very crucial. I'll probably regret not being much of a reader or researcher in my early days. I was probably more focused on just what's around me. I had my head in a bubble a little bit, and as I've sort of grown up, reading books, reading articles, meeting people like yourself and the many great people out there that are doing great things, you sort of, it's amazing how much your brain, the elasticity of your brain and what it can take in. And I'm forever learning, and I think that's the main thing. But, I had some really good mentors. My grandmother was a massive one. I'm not a religious man. She was a very religious lady, and she instilled some really good beliefs and values in my life. And I think that was someone that I could turn to in all aspects of my life, that she'd give me a clip when I needed to pull my head in, but she'd support me when I didn't. I look at, again, I use my wife as a mentor, the things that she does, dance school and coaching and life as well. And, I think she drags me along and teaches me a lot of new things. My dad was a great mentor of mine. Sometimes he taught me what not to do, and by telling me what not to do, it was sort of good to learn what to do. I had a great, my best mate, Richard White, and his family, the White family, they took me in as a son, and they taught me something. But then I think as I've grown up, you start to look at everyone knows them, your Simon Sinek's and stuff, and learning from them, these guys and the power of why. And as I've grown up, the power of why is pretty important as a coach, as a fight club coach, as a man, understanding the why. And I look to a lot of other, I love to read books. I look to a lot of AFL coaches and their philosophies and stuff, and how you can apply them across to life. But I think having people that you can fall on in all areas of your life is important, and try not to spread it too vast, but then also not keep it too thin. I think having different people to learn from, and it's amazing where you can pick up some knowledge. And knowledge is great, but then it's wisdom, and then I think that's the power of it all. And using everyone, mate, I can learn from anyone, and that's the beauty of the world.
And you talk a lot about, I know in Business Fight Club, you have some really strong values, and you've mentioned a few of them already. But when we talk about mentors and leaders, what do you think it takes to be a good leader? What do you think leadership's all about? What do you look for in a leader?
Someone for me, mate, is a leader that's someone that's probably not going to be the black sheep, someone that's going to step out. For me, it's probably something, I'm big community-based, mate. I'm big on live to give. And so that's my big passion. And I think a leader to me is someone that's willing to put other people's needs first. I'm someone that's a team player, and I think a leader is someone that can pass on knowledge. A leader is someone that is willing to let people self-discover, let people find their answers without being told necessarily. I think a leader is someone that's out the front dragging others along, not someone that's sitting behind telling people what to do. And I think a leader is someone that's going to get their hands dirty just as much as the everyday person, as you say. I think leadership is actions, not just words. And I think a leader has to be able to get his hands dirty or her hands dirty to show that she or he is ready to go and has the right place. But I think leadership, mate, it all comes from, and a guy that's probably sitting opposite this screen, mate, told me something, but I think leadership comes from here. And if you can speak from the heart, and you can speak from honest, and you can speak from within, I think you're already a sort of a natural leader.
Well, we talk about that. We have a little bit of a laugh about that, and I had a bit of a smirk on my face, but there's one photo I'm about to share of our experience at the Lululemon huddle. I hope this comes up for all the viewers here.
Wish I had better jocks on, mate. That was my last.
This is a picture of Dennis Armfield. So we went to the Lululemon huddle, and I jumped in a limousine. We were chosen of 30 blokes from around Australia and New Zealand to go away on I guess there's a lot of self-development, a lot of leadership, a lot of what would we do given the brains that we had in the room. I jumped in a limousine knowing exactly who Dennis Armfield was, but it was like, pretend you don't know Dennis Armfield, pretend you're not a super fan, being a Carlton man. This was day two of this experience. We had an opportunity to get up and share in 3 minutes what we would do for the world, given the opportunity, and you didn't have to share. And Dennis looked at me and he started scribbling in his notepad about all the things that he'd say in 3 minutes. And there was only 5 of us that were willing to share. And I think I turned to Dennis and said, fuck that book off and go from the heart in no uncertain terms. So Dennis turned around, and this is, if you can see, that's Dennis half nude in the circle in front of 30 odd blokes that he's known for less than 48 hours, doing his speech and his jocks. You want to talk to us a little bit more about how that came about, Dennis, and what the thought process was there, mate?
Yeah, mate. Like you said, we're in a room, like it sort of shows there, in a circle, and they asked who was willing to tell their story. And I think 5 blokes sort of volunteered at the start, and they left the space, they left the room to encourage others to have the opportunity. And I remember looking at you and just sort of going, having all these notes and worrying about getting every word right. And you sort of said, just speak from the heart. And I was like, well, I want to speak from the heart, and I think the heart's the most vulnerable place, so I'm going to get vulnerable. And I was actually going to get fully naked until I realised that there was 4 or 5 women in the room as well, and I thought that's probably not the right thing to do. So yeah, got down into my jocks, mate. I thought, well, if this is me, bare skin and all, I'm not here to hide my imperfections. I'm not here to shy away from anything. This is it. This is what you get. Nothing more vulnerable, and I'm here to share what I want to do and who I am, and you can see everything for yourself, and if you don't like it, good on you. But I'd love many men I called to action. I said every other man go and stand in your jocks with me, but not
one doing you.
But my belief was vulnerability is a pretty powerful tool, and I think by standing there in my jocks, I got the point across that, you know what, I am who I am, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud of the man I am today, and I was proud of every man in that room, and I was very fortunate enough to be in that room.
Pretty powerful space, and there was one reason that room was as powerful as it was, and that's because 30 blokes that have never known each other, never met each other, stepped in and got vulnerable from the get-go. And talking about vulnerabilities, we're in this moment at the time. It's chaotic. There's a lot of confusion. It's a pretty bizarre time to be around at the moment. More important than ever to be vulnerable. Dennis, do you want to talk to us a little bit about what you're doing with Business Fight Club at the moment? What Business Fight Club is first, to let everyone know, and then we'll move into what you've got in store to help people step out of that or step into vulnerability and start to work on themselves.
Yeah, look, Business Fight Club stemmed from an organisation called Elephant & Co., which is a business advisory think tank for small to medium businesses. And you go into the business and work with the leaders that we spoke about to transform the business as successful as possible. But at the end of the day, you were still leaving that business in the hands of the same men or women that have their own battles. And that was a frustration. It was like, well, how do we position ourselves to help these men and women? And we sort of found a little bit of a need for what was the stem of Business Fight Club to help men fight for what matters most in their life, to be their best version of themselves, to redefine what it means to be a man in today's society. And I think, we started Business Fight Club from there. You know, the stats are pretty damning when it comes to men's health, with, 2,348 men taking their life in Australia every year, roughly, which equates to 6 men every day committing suicide. And we're pretty passionate that something needs to be done, because what we're doing at the moment isn't working, because those numbers are far too drastic. So we were pretty passionate about coming up with a solution and solving problems. And what we started with is the Best Me program, which is a collaboration with yourself at the moment, which we're trying to encourage men to stop, reflect and adjust to be the best versions of themselves. And I think I want to reiterate that it's about being the best version of yourself. It's not about being the best. It's not about being perfect, because from failures and from mistakes is the best form of learning. And I think, it's about self-discovery. It's about going on a journey which is 15 modules long, challenging people on their five key areas of life, which is your personal health, both mental and physical, being a parent, being a partner, what it means to being your profession and your work life, and then finally, how do you find time to refill up your tank and sort of play? And we challenge guys through that to invest in themselves, to slow down in what is a busy world where we have all suddenly become so time poor. It's something that we're very passionate about. My goal is to get 6 down to 5 to 4 to 3 to 2 to 1 to 0. And I think, as men, we've got to be more proactive. We've got to invest in ourselves. We've got to challenge our thinking. We've got to not wait till that lump becomes cancer before we act. We've got to act on that lump straight away. And that's what I'm passionate about. That's what you're passionate about. And I think that's where it all stems from, mate. And, as we'll probably talk about later, but we're close to developing and finalising a women's program because I'm passionate about domestic violence. And I think the biggest cause of domestic violence and violence against women is us as men. And I want to try to limit that. And I think we've got to solve our problems first to help the women. But I also think there's some amazing women out there too that can do amazing things for both men and other women, and we're looking forward to working alongside that to those women as well.
Yeah, absolutely, and agree with everything you've just said. I mean, it's such a critical time, more than ever at the moment, that we buckle up and use the time that we've got. I mean, time's something that we're very poor for, and there's a big element of this program, the Best Me program, that is about time management, which is one of the best parts of it. Because we are pretty poor with that. But given that we do have time, it's something that we've never had right now. What are some things that you would be doing, Dennis, to improve your emotional resilience, to work on your well-being? What are some things that people can be doing in the confinement of their home to work on these sorts of things?
Yeah, look, mate, there's 2 angles I can take this. I can take this the Business Fight Club way, which is where we currently, 30 minutes ago, just launched our program called the Reboot Isolation Reboot Program, which is a 14-day program that gets men and women to stop for probably 30 minutes a day and focus on self-connection, social connections, opportunities, gratitude, mindfulness, growth mindset, purpose and values. And it just gets people to sort of, I think this is a great opportunity for us to stop and reboot. The world's giving us a chance to slow down. I think you're just showing the program overview there. It's giving us a chance to slow down and be present in the moment. And I think it's a great opportunity to not waste this. There's Netflix, there's Foxtel, there's all of these, your social medias and that. But priority number 1's you. And I think we're in a time now where we are confused, we are struggling, we are battling. It is very, very tough. People are losing their jobs, sports getting cancelled. And I think it's time to look internally. It's time to focus on us, drag your mates along, drag your partner along, your family and friends and that, and really have a good look at ourselves and know that we'll get through this, and we will, and we'll rebound, because that's where we're pretty good at adversity. But make sure that we come out of it with the right mindset, ready to attack the next steps, mate. So there's that, and I think, mate, just being connected, being present in the now, and focusing on what you can control.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, as I said, it's what a time you've got no other choice. And it's a time where we can actually start to put some time back into ourselves and work on that emotional resilience through holistic and strength-based measures and practices, and becoming the best version of ourselves. And I know it's a message that I push frequently, and it's a message that a lot of people ignore, but I feel like maybe this is the turning point for people where they realize how important that is, because as we've just seen, your financials can be stripped from you just like that. Money gone, no more of it. I've lost over $150,000 through less cancellations of speaking gigs in the last week. What I still have, while I won't have the money, is I still have my health, and that health exists. And the lack of stress and overwhelm that I've got right now comes from working tirelessly on my well-being. So now's no better time than ever to be putting that back into yourselves. I just want to show a short video, Dennis, back on the Best Me program.
Yep.
We talked about the overview of that program. We talked about what that looks like. Now we're going to be going live with this the Best Me program on Saturday. We have 2 more days to go, which gives you, which can allow you to get excited. I just want to show one video to help people understand what we can be doing and how important it is to go on a journey with someone else. I mean, we talked about mentors and leaders before and how important the people are that are around us. But what if we could go through this program together? What if we could go through this journey together? So I just want to get this up for everybody at home. And did that come across okay?
I couldn't hear it, but I don't know if others could. I don't know if you heard mine. So
Great. Yeah, I just think the importance of being able to follow exactly what it said in that. If people couldn't hear it, my apologies. The idea of shouting out, mate, going on this journey with someone else, as I've said for many, many years and on many, many stages, everything in life is much easier done when we share it with someone else. And a lot of these things can be very raw and can be very real for us to address. And so to be able to go on the journey with a mate, or in this moment of time, being able to financially support that mate through the program. Do you want to talk a little bit about what the Shadowmate initiative looks like, Dennis?
yeah, look, Shadowmate is exactly what you said, mate. I think going on a journey with someone was just saw that no sound, unfortunately, but going on a journey and fighting for those that are close to you. And the video says we'll Shadowmate a drink, we'll Shadowmate food, we'll Shadowmate money, we'll Shadowmate a lot of things. But what about the greatest shout of all? And that's going through a life journey together and going through something together and coming out the other side as better versions of yourself. And the Shadowmate campaign is pretty much as it sounds. It's investing in either yourself and bringing your mate along with you, or investing in another friend and you going on that journey with them. And it's $194, which is less than a coffee each a week. So you get 12 months subscription. You get the 15 module main program, which is the Best Me program, and then you get access to tools, resources, libraries, articles, audio, which for 12 months, you can keep falling back on, keep calling on to keep investing in yourself, keep investing in your mate. But I think the most powerful thing about the Shadowmate concept is it gives you 15 modules, 15 topics to have an open and honest conversation with those that are going through the journey with you. And I think as men, we'll often drag people through things, but we won't sit down face to face and have an open and honest conversation. And I think some of us don't know how, and some of us don't know where to begin. And I think by doing the Shadowmate and doing the Best Me program, that opens up that opportunity to A, have a topic to talk about, but B, also sit opposite a close friend or a mate and get to the nuts and bolts of it all.
Yeah, absolutely. Without having to use the words mental health and suicide, it's just about it's not for those people that are, it's not necessarily for those people that are necessarily struggling, but it's about building that skill set and emotional resilience so that you've got the ladder to climb out of those deep, dark holes when they come about. Because as we know, life's not easy, never will be, never has been. That's not the idea of it, but it does become a lot more simple when we put the time and effort into our brain and to our mind and behavioral health and to the people around us. When we put that time in. So, Dennis, you just mentioned before about using that program and the tools and resources that are available. It's something that Business Fight Club and Elephant & Co will continue to add to, no doubt. There's plenty of tools and resources, videos, books, links, all that sort of jazz amongst there. You talk about revisiting the program. It's something that you've mentioned you do yourself. Talk to me about what are the elements, the key elements of this program that you find have been best fit for you?
Yeah, look, mate, and I think just touching on what you said before, I think the power of this program is it's a proactive self-discovery program. And I think too many of us, especially men, I think women as well though, but especially men, are waiting till it's too late. We're waiting till we're at rock bottom to then act. And this program is for those that want to be proactive, don't want to fall too low, don't want to let an argument sit and fester before it becomes a big argument, don't want to snap at our mates or friends or family. We're people that want to invest in our small steps at a time to ultimately become the best version of ourselves. And I think this is a program for everyone, whether you're absolutely flying or whether you are struggling a little bit, but it'll be a discovery and a pathway that'll help you know where you're at right now and then where you want to go. And I think, like you just touched on, I do it regularly. I do the 15-week program pretty much in circles. I just keep rolling it from one to the other. I think it keeps me in check with investing back into those that I need to. Like I said, I'm not a parent, but I'm a mentor of other people, and I look at being a mentor as a parent. So it challenges me to continually reinvest in those relationships. I'm a partner, I'm obviously married. It teaches me to continually reinvest into that relationship. There's tools and conversation tips and mindfulness activities that I know when men hear mindfulness, they can kind of freak out. But I think the big thing for me is being present in the moment. I go for a walk with my dogs with no phone. I take in the sounds of the cars, the birds making their sounds. I just be present in the right now. I listen to my breath. It just takes me away from the hustle and bustle of the world that we live in now. And I think tools like that just keep ticking away. And then books to read, articles to read, or TED Talks and all that to listen to. It just opens your door to more learning and more knowledge. And I think you'd be silly as a man, woman, or a child to not want to broaden your knowledge.
Yeah, we always mention that what do we value more, health or wealth? And as I said before, wealth can get stripped away from you pretty quickly. So the importance of having your well-being, because we can always go and earn more money again. But as Dennis said, $97 for the Best Me program. It'll be launched on Saturday. 194, is that right, Dennis, for the Shout to Mate campaign? Just double your money. I'm no good at maths.
Double your money, but I think it's worth double the investment. And it's important to say, we're passionate about getting this to as many people as possible. We're pretty fortunate in Metro that we can get a lot of access to this, but there's a lot of rural people that just go down everywhere. And that's why we've created this online platform, because we want to get this in the hands of as many men and soon to be women when we launch our Wonderman program, but as many men as possible to fight to be the best version of themselves. And I think, for $97, this program was in excess of $1,000, and we've brought it back to $97 because we're passionate about getting this in the hands of as many men. We're passionate about bringing 6 deaths a day in Australia down to 0. Where we want to get men fighting, and for $97, it works out to be 25 cents a day. That's less than a coffee a week. It's not big money, and I think that's an investment that I think every man should make in himself, in his mates, and continue that conversation moving forward.
Yeah, I know you haven't mentioned the boys, but Drew, Jez, yourself, Dennis, and myself had sat down with Craig, and I seen that Craig was on before. I'm not sure if he's still watching, but we sat down with him at Farm World, and our goal of running the Best Me program and launching it this week was to have it Farm World in front of 60,000 people. And you mentioned like to have that to metro areas. We've got reach here in metro areas, but to get it out to regional and rural Australia in the hands of people in high risk areas of mental health and suicide would be a beautiful thing. And I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'm still going to set the bar at 2,340 of these Best Me programs to be sold in the next couple of weeks or the next month. If we can put it in the hands of the same amount of people that unfortunately took their lives, that would be a beautiful thing. I'm just going to read off some stats here for anyone that doesn't understand how serious this issue is. 1 in 8 men will experience depression. 1 in 5 men will experience anxiety. On average, 6 men in Australia take their lives a day, and 82 call an ambulance due to suicidal thoughts. And we know for every single person that we lose to suicide, another 20 attempts will occur. So it's something that really needs to be stamped on. And the way in which we can all do that together is obviously by purchasing the program, but making people aware about what exists. And this is just one of those tools that exists to people out there. And what a better time to be tapping into it and going on the journey with the people in your workplace, at home. Stay connected with them in your sporting clubs. All these places right now are beautiful, beautiful ways in which we can stay connected to each other in such a shit time. So please, everyone, look into these programs, look into the resources that are available. I mean, the Fight Club and the boys at Elephant and Co do a magnificent job. And as they mentioned, there will be a program out soon for women, which will mimic the work of this one, the Best Me program as well. Dennis, just furthermore to that program, I know we've talked about the overview, and one of the things in the overview that people might have been able to see, and I'll just bring it up again, is the 5 Ps. Do you want to talk?
Have I lost you? I think I've lost you, Matty. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if I'm still on.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, got you now. Yeah, sorry, mate.
What I was just saying is, if you want to just talk to, we've had a look at the program overview.
Yep.
In that is the 5 Ps. And for anyone that's wondering what the 5 Ps are, do you just want to touch on what they are, mate?
Yeah, look, I think the 5 Ps, and we've got this through evidence-based data, was 5 areas that will touch most men and women's life at some stage, in some degree. And I think the first one being your personal health, both physical and mental. I think it's important to invest back in yourself in both of those areas. A lot of us men are worried about making 6-packs, mate, but I think we've got I heard someone on the Lululemon sort of say, who's creating 6-packs for their brain as well. And I think that's something that, as quirky as that sounds, it's something that I'm very passionate about. You've then got your parenting, being a parent. And if you're not a parent or you don't want to be a parent, I think look at it as a mentor and who you can mentor and how you can have an influence on someone else's life and make somebody else smile today. Being a partner, some people might not be in a relationship, but you've got strong partnerships with mates, family, mum, dad, sisters, uncles, cousins, nephews, whatever, the list goes on. So we're all partners in some shape or form, and looking at a partnership, it's important to you to fight for. Then it's your profession. Many of us have to work 8-hour days. We sleep 8 hours a day, and we've got 8 hours for everything else. But it's a pretty big part of our life. So, being able to have a good work-life control, and I say the word control because balance is probably not going to happen, but understanding that the scale can turn and turn and turn. And if you're in control of how you spend your time and ask yourself, what am I truly busy about? That'll help you. And then finally, the thing that I like to do most, mate, is play. And that's what do you do to sort of refill your personal fuel tank? And that's from playing golf, hanging with mates, mindfulness activities, walking the dog, whatever it is that you like to do, fishing or anything. The spectrum is massive, but I think we sometimes can lose ourselves, mate. And, I heard a saying, why is it as we grow old we stop playing? Well, we get old because we stop playing, like we sort of lose our track. We forget what we were. We don't bring out our inner kid often enough. And I think that's something that'll influence many lives and can be something that we all need to reinvest back in.
Absolutely, mate. I'm just going to throw over to Stevie here because I've got to clear this up, mate. Steve,
Yep.
Matty reckons he had 35 and kick 3 in the Carlton Legends game just recently. Any truth to this, Dennis?
I don't know if he had that much. I reckon his opponent had 35.
Come on.
He picked one of the best left foot goals that I've seen for a long time from about 55 straight out of the guts. It was something I wanted to recruit him for the Mighty Sharks, but yeah, he was all right, mate. It was good fun, but I think 35 stretching it. I think 3 is very much stretching it. So he might have had 15 or so and a goal, but it was a short game. It was only 15 minutes. So if you double it, he probably was going all right.
Yeah, I was looking all right. Throw over to Mickey Donahue. Mickey does a wealth of work in this field. If anyone is watching and wants to click on Mickey's profile, that's another guy that's doing fantastic things and stopping the stigma around mind and behavioural health out there. So he's also selling shirts. You might see in that picture of him there looking buff. That shirt he has on sale at the moment, and he's doing wonderful things with everything that he's doing. Mickey will also be a guest on this in the coming weeks. Mickey says, now that you know a lot more about mental health and wellbeing, what's 1 or 2 things you would focus on a lot more as your younger self, Dennis?
Yeah, probably something I don't regret much, mate, because my life is what it was. But I think something that I was probably a little bit sheltered from all this stuff when I was younger. I was a bit old-fashioned in my thinking, and I think being mindful, being present in the now. I think too many of us can get caught up in our past or get caught up on where we want to go, and we sort of lose track of the now and enjoying the moments with our loved ones and those around us. And I think that's something that I'm very, very, very mindful of. And the other thing for me is writing a journal. I'm someone that, and when I say write a journal, it doesn't mean it's pages and pages. It doesn't mean it's every day. It's got to suit me. But I tend to try to either write a quote, write something that I'm grateful for, or something that's happened. I think we talk about in our program the one good golf shot. I think we all play golf as men, a lot of us anyway, and a lot of women, and you can have a shocking day on the golf course, but you come into the 19th hole and you sit there and go, how good was that drive that I hit, or how good was that chip, or how good was that putt? And it's always the shot that drags you back, and you only remember that. And I think in life, however, at the end of the day, we always focus on the negative or what we didn't achieve, the bad meeting or the bad call or the bad interaction that we had with people. And my encouragement and something that I've learned is to start focusing on the good. And it doesn't have to be drastic. It doesn't have to be huge. It could be just a simple conversation like me and you are having now that is powerful. And so they're the 2 things, mate. I think being present in the now and just jotting down and looking for the positives in every day as it comes. Absolutely.
And Mickey, thanks for that question. If anyone else has any more questions, be sure to send them in while we've got Dennis on. He's an open book, and be sure to answer them. I love, Dennis, you're touching on journal, and we've touched on reflection a few times, but I just want to talk to people about the ability right now to be sitting there, and it's a big part of the program, as we were talking about before, in profession. There's probably a lot of people right now that are in a stage of what's going to happen at the end of this, what's going to happen when we come out the other side of this. Maybe it's a great time for us to understand what our next move is. So using this time to pause and reflect and to stop and to listen to what's going on around us and to work out what our next move is. And we can do that right now. And this is what the program's about, is finding your best self, working out, is it about creativity? Is it about education? What else can I learn in this moment of time when I don't have the stresses of someone barking orders at me or demands of jobs or deadlines of jobs? It's an amazing time to stop and reflect and to further benefit yourself with another skill set, so that we can come out of this not trying to work out what our purpose is, but knowing exactly what we were put here to do and living the difference we were born to make. Dennis, I'm going to jump over to some quick questions here, mate. Some are very basic, some are not. You answer these as best as you can. First one, your hardest opponent in your 145 game career?
Brett Harvey. I was tagging him one game, and the idea of a tagger is to stop an opponent getting a kick and getting a handball. And I think for the day I had 3 and he had 38, so I didn't do a good job, I don't think. So, he's probably one that taught me a lot of tricks too, to better myself and better my game.
Awesome. Who's the best teacher you've ever had?
Best teacher I've ever had? Oh, that's a good question.
Not necessarily school-wise. Who's the best teacher, educator? Who have you learnt the most from?
Look, I'll actually probably go to a teacher, Mr. Price. He was my maths teacher, but he always taught me to do things my way. I was pretty concerned when I was in school to sit with the smarter kids and help them drag me along. I had to work hard at school, but he always sort of said there's the way they're doing might not necessarily be the way that's right for you. So look outside the box and think of a different way to operate and get the best out of yourself. And I think he was someone that sort of helped me in that regards. And if I'm honest, and as soppy and as soft as this is probably going to sound, but probably my wife is an amazing teacher for me. She just she's a resilient beast, and I think she drags me along as well. And out of the two of us, mate, I'm probably the one that sheds more tears. So that's what type of woman she can be, and she teaches me a lot.
And there's nothing wrong with those tears either, mate. We shed a lot of them at the Lululemon huddle from memory. So if we can encourage more men to do the same thing. Dennis, what brings you the most joy?
A smile on someone else's face. Thanks, mate. Another man taught me, mate, that a smile is pretty contagious. So just go out there and show these pearly whites. So that's what I'm going to do.
It's infectious, it's contagious. Not only does it make ourselves feel better, but it makes other people feel better. There's no one that I've ever met in all the time that I've been doing that has told me that a smile makes them feel worse. So I agree. Dennis, some career highlights. What do you got?
Not many. No, I've probably got a few. I think my very first game, considering I got 24 touches and only ever beat up once in the rest of the 144. So I came out with a bang and then sort of fell away after that. So that was one. I think the finals win against Richmond. I remember coming out and there was 100,000 people and Richmond's crowd was banging their drums, and to come away with a win in a massive finals game was something I'll never forget. And then last but not least, and this is probably something you sort of bring up a bit, is I don't know how much detail I want to go into, but it was my first game back from a ruptured testicle, and I was playing with a cricket box, and against Adelaide, and was fortunate enough to kick 4 goals from outside 50, and it's something I'll never be able to do again because my hamstrings will snap. So that's a great memory as well, just because I think as a male to have the injury that I had, to come back and do what I did, it sort of just reiterated that we can come back from a lot of things.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I'm going to put the links down the bottom just for anyone that's just watching now to jump onto Business Fight Club and to have a look at all the programs that are available to them right now. As he said, he's gone live with the 21-day reboot program, which is a brilliant program for you to sit inside, sitting in the current situation that we're in. So that link's down the bottom. I'll also post it in the comments after this. Keep your questions coming while I'm asking Dennis these ones, but jump onto that link below for all the programs.
Off, mate. I think too the powerful thing about the reboot program is we lose sight that it's $9.70. So like if you want a tester, if you want a trial, man or woman, it's $9.70. I think for a 14-day program, let's give up 2 coffees and invest in yourself while we're in this isolation, while we're in lockdown, while we're in segregation. And I think you'll be amazed at it'll get you thinking. It'll challenge you in some good and bad ways. And I think we don't want to waste this opportunity that we've been given. Again, looking at the glass half full, we've been given this opportunity to stop, reflect, and adjust. And I think for $9.70 in the reboot program, it's a great stepping stone to what is then the best me or wonderment, which is something that we're very passionate about.
Yeah, absolutely. We can't afford not to do that at $9.70. As Dennis said, jump on and have a look at that program. And what a time to be able to do it. As I said, we should always be looking for these opportunities to slow the world down and put the time back into ourselves so that we can come out the other side of this a much stronger and better version of ourselves. Dennis, your place of wellness, what does that look like?
place of wellness. Wow, that's a journalist question here, Matty.
I'm working my way up.
My place of wellness, mate, is probably one in which I'm in control. I think it's my place of wellness is probably here, making sure that I stick to all the things that I have to do to keep this balanced, this in control. But a place of wellness is probably my man cave. It's a little room where I just escape the world. I escape reality for half an hour blocks. It could be go in there and just chill. It could be go in there and listen to music. It could be go in there and play games. It could be go in there and wrestle with my dog. It could be go in there and just be the big kid that I am. And I think that's my real place of, wellness and my happy place that I don't like many people coming into.
Love that, mate. Absolutely love it. And it actually exists in the male brain. We have a man zone that we do escape to, and it's where females ask us what's going on and we ignore it. But it's a place where we go and nothing else matters. And we're lucky that we have that part of the brain, because in these times it's nice to be able to have that stillness, even if it is for just 30 seconds to a minute. Dennis, mate, who do you look to for inspiration and motivation, mate?
That is pretty awkward, mate, but I'll probably say yourself at the moment. You're someone that, which it sounds a bit soppy because we're on the same Facebook Live, mate, but I'm very fortunate for the relationship that we've struck up since Lululemon. Hearing your story and getting to know you and being part of your Mindful Oz journey and the Gala Ball and seeing you not only open up and tell the story, but also getting to know you behind closed doors is something that's phenomenal, and a story that amazes me every time I hear it. And I think just seeing how a bloke that has gone through what he's gone through, but also the influence that you're having in so many young kids' lives, but not only that, so many men's lives, and not only that, so many women's lives is something that is truly inspirational. And I think, it can't be forgotten, mate. And I think it's important that I'll say that out loud.
No, I appreciate that, mate. I mean, if we can just go back to how we met, it's exactly what you talk about with everything we've spoken about tonight. You step into that vulnerability and you take yourself out of the comfort zone, and you can really network and meet some people that are going through similar stuff, that are on the same path, and you can go on to create lots of magic with them. So I'm very blessed and very grateful on this end of things as well, mate, because I'm learning from yourself, learning from Drew, learning from Jez as well at Elephant & Co. And we've, to be able to put this Best Me program out there is something that I didn't know would exist, but it was exactly what I needed to have at this moment of time. And it's exactly what I want everyone else to have in this moment of time. So I'm very grateful for that as well, mate. Favorite podcast or book? You're a podcast or book man?
Talking about Andrew Malloy, mate, he tells me to stop listening to the radio. I'm a bit of an SEN man, unfortunately.
Oh, no.
I know. I can't get away from the sport. But he challenges me with podcasts. Not quite there yet. I listen to a bit of crime podcasts with my wife. Not quite there, though. I'm a bit of a book man. I am currently in the process of reading a book called Backbone, which is all about men's health and trying to challenge your thinking and challenge the way you do things. And there's things in the book that I don't agree with, and there's things in the book that I really agree with. But I think we can take something away. But yeah, I'm about to start a book called Mind Gym, and I'm really looking forward to reading that. Like I said, I try to align my learning with bettering myself and growing in myself and giving myself more tools and more knowledge that then I can pass on to my friends, family, and network.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll throw some books up that Dennis has read in the comments at a later date. But Dennis, favorite quote? You got one? I know you have a mantra, live to give, which I love. You got a favorite quote?
Favorite quote? It's sort of hard because I sort of sit there and there's so many things that are running through my head.
That's all right. Do you want to come back to that, or you?
Yeah, I might give me 2 seconds, mate. My wife's trying to whisper something in the ear, but I can't quite hear it. Try to help me out.
Join us, Abby. Come on.
I'm pretty open and honest, mate. It's look, I think if you want to invest in yourself, if you want to teach yourself You practice compassion, but then if you want to teach others, also practice compassion. And I think that's by the Dalai Lama. And I think it's something that I believe in as well. It's gratitude and being grateful for the good that you have in your life can actually come back and attract more good in your life. And it's a saying that I read, that a quote that I read, that, you know, it was interesting, because my motto is live to give, and my motto is to, you know, what makes me happy is seeing other people smile. But it's amazing that when you do give and when you do see others smile, how much you get and how much you get to smile. So that's probably just one that comes to my mind, mate. But there's so many that are out there that, yeah, I was probably a little bit lost.
Love it, mate. Love it. I'm glad I didn't get asked what my favourite quote is, but we do have a question coming from Griff. What's the biggest hurdle Dennis has ever had to overcome, and what was the key to getting through that?
Biggest hurdle? Look, again, because of what my life was like and that, the biggest hurdle for me, mate, has probably just happened recently. I don't know, what was it, 3 months ago? I think my best mate's mother died, and she was like my mother to me. She was my mother, my second mother, and meant the world to me. And my best mate and his sister were my brother and sister, and their dad as well. And so to lose them when I'm 3,000 kilometres away, because they're in Perth, and I sort of can't do anything. I can't be there. I can't be a shoulder to cry on. I was so absent that, yeah, talking about it, mate, gets me a little bit emotional. But the things that I did to overcome that was, again, conversations, probably reflecting on the good times and not the bad, and remembering the woman for what she was, not what she was at the end, and just being there in phone conversations and texts as much as I possibly can, and opening up my heart and hopefully helping others open up theirs. That's probably something that's a hurdle that's, yeah, sort of hit me pretty hard recently. And I think, you know, I'm still finding ways to get over that hurdle. And probably one more that I'm pretty open and honest about is my wife and I trying for kids. We've been trying for 3 years now, and it hasn't happened. And yeah, when you're two people that love each other, you want to continue that journey and continue your little family, and we haven't been able to. But she's probably tougher than me in all this process. But I think something to overcome is, again, being grateful for what we have. And we have each other, and we have a happy, loving relationship. And that means more to me than anything else. And, you know, if it meant that I lost that to chase something else, I probably wouldn't do it, mate, because that means the world to me. So that's probably another hurdle that I'm still chipping away at. I know it doesn't sort of answer the question, getting through it. I'm probably still getting through both of them. So I'll keep working on it. And I've just shared the stories with thousands of unknown people, mate, but that's who I am, and that's what I'll always do.
Yeah, mate, absolutely. And that's what we all admire about you. It's again, like you said, you don't necessarily have the answer to go that you're getting through it, but it's a continual process, and it's something that we'll continue to manage and continue to work on. And I think that that's a great learning for anyone that's watching, to know that sometimes it takes a couple of goes to win a battle. You've got to win a few fights to win the battle. So it's a continual get up and go again process. And by doing that, we know we're becoming the best version of ourselves and carving us into the person that we need to be in order to overcome other hurdles. So I think that's a really good point. Back to these questions, Dennis, something of a little bit lighter nature. Any superpower, what would it be and why?
Oh, I had this conversation with my wife the other night. Yeah, it's an interesting one, because everyone goes to the stock standard like invisibility or the ability to fly. But yeah, I'd probably actually say the ability to fly, because I've got a lot of friends in different places, a lot of family in different places. Yeah, the ability to get there quicker, and, you know, or teleport, maybe, just the ability to be able to be around them. I do miss those connections. I do miss my family and friends when they are distant. And I think instead of having to sit on planes for hours and all of those things and go through transit and all of that, mate, to be able to just click my fingers and be there would be pretty nice.
Absolutely, mate. It'd stop you sitting on the monash every morning before you go to work as well.
Oh, well, that would.
And might have got you around the ground quicker on the Legends game, mate.
Mate, did you not see that? It was like lightning on the back line.
2 torps up the ground. It's all it took, huh?
Yeah, I was heavy.
I'm going to just throw to this one. What advice do you have for listeners first part of that question? What advice would you give? If you could give one piece of advice to take home to anyone that's listening, what would it be?
It's going to sound selfish, but without you, there is nothing else. And I think that's the powerful learning that I've sort of learned is you've got to invest in yourself. You've got to be able to fight for yourself. You've got to be able to sometimes put yourself first because, as relationships, work, all of that revolves around you. You're the center, you're the focus, you're the core. And I think, be understanding of who you are, what you are, and where you are right now and where you want to go. And I think really know that and really know who you are. And because I think then that'll allow the rest to fall nicely into place.
So in saying that, what would be the advice you'd give to young Dennis?
Oh, mate, change a lot of things. The advice I'd give to Dennis is, be present more. Understand relationships more. My mother and father split when I was younger, and I didn't have a close relationship with my mother. It's something that took me probably age and maturity to build that again. My dad was a fly in, fly out worker, so he was sort of away a fair bit too. So I wasn't always around him, but I think being present in the moment, creating memories, and really enjoying just the now. I think as a young kid, looking back, I sort of just took a lot of things for granted. I sort of now turn back and sort of wish I didn't do such things.
Yeah, but all learnings in the same token.
Oh, definitely.
3 people in the world that you could have dinner with, who would they be, Dennis, and why? Don't miss out on Abby, you'll get in trouble.
Nah, she wouldn't be in the top 3, mate. I love her, but I have dinner with her every night. Look, I think I'd probably go sport would be Michael Jordan. I think just something I learned from him was, failure is your best learning, and he wanted that last shot, and hearing the stories of how he just called for that ball and want that pressure, and he missed many. He probably missed more than he made, but I think that's where something I'd love to pick his brain on. I'd love to probably have Nelson Mandela, someone that I find very inspirational to be in the position that he was to then create the change that he created. And I think there's no better story of sort of adversity or creating change than that. And then last but not least, I'd probably have to have some humour, and I'd probably go Eddie Murphy.
Choice.
Because I'm someone that likes to have a bit of a laugh. I'm someone that likes to have a bit of a joke at times too. And Eddie Murphy Delirious is one of my favourite little stand-up comedy acts, mate. So I think, he'd make me laugh in what could be a pretty serious conversation.
Awesome, mate. Love that. And where can we find you? I know I've put we've put the link down the bottom for Business Fight Club for the Best Me program, the 21-day reboot program. There's also a link that I'll share, an alternative link for me to share for the Best Me program as well come Saturday. Where else can we find Business Fight Club, Elephant & Co., and everything that Dennis Armfield is doing and is going to achieve? Yeah, look, obviously the link at the bottom. If it's simple, I just go to businessfightclub.co. Your website, I'll give you a plug, Matty, or I'll let you post that out there, mate. But I think, it's important that we acknowledge our collaboration and the amazing work that you're doing in this space as well, in collaboration with us. And so, I direct people to your page as well if you want to chuck that up there as well or say it. And then last but not least, mate, social media. Everyone's on it these days. Instagram or Facebook, search for me. I'm hopefully I'm findable. Just follow the journey because I'm very passionate about it, and
I'll be sharing a lot of things in the next few weeks.
Awesome. So in saying that, what is next for Dennis Armfield, and what is next for, I know we've talked about Fight Club and the Wonderment program, but what's next for Dennis Armfield?
Yeah, look, mate, it's probably getting through Corona. If I can get through unscathed, I'm pretty happy. We're all doing it pretty tough at the moment, myself included. We've all been affected in some shape or form, and I think I'm actually currently doing the reboot program as we speak, just to hone in on me and where I'm at. So I'll be doing that over the next 14 days to just really, reboot, ready for taking on the world when we're allowed out of our isolation. But then ultimately, mate, I'm just here to, get that number down to 0, mate, however way I can in men's health and women's health. And I think if we can be both on a similar journey together, then we'll do a lot more to help one another and help those around us. So it'll be living a dream of giving, mate, helping as many people as we possibly can and putting as many tools and resources in as many people's hands as possible. So we all get proactive, we all start fighting, and we can turn what is a drastic figure in 2,346 men or 48 men to a lot less.
Absolutely. That'll be the aim of both myself and Dennis and the team at Elephant & Co. over the next couple of weeks, is to pump this out as far and wide as we can. And I guess if we can help in doing so, that would be fantastic. The more people that we can get back living their best, most healthiest, happiest and fulfilling life, the better this country will be, not only for them, but for us as well. So final question, just to finish on a really strong note, Dennis, it comes from Jez at Elephant & Co. When are you getting your haircut?
Mate, why would you want to cut this? Like, it's people have asked for this for a long time.
No, Dennis.
It's beautiful, mate. It's beautiful.
I love it.
There's a story behind the hair. My old man had long hair his whole life. He was someone that on his 40th birthday, he had hair down the middle of his back. On his 40th birthday, I was at a local football game, and he used to call me boy. He'd be like, go boy, go boy. And half time, I hear this bloke come over to the huddle, and he's like, hey, boy, come on, crack in. And I looked across, and I saw this bald bloke, and I'm like, who the hell are you? Don't call me boy. You're not my dad. And on his 40th birthday, he shaved it off. And my goal is always to sort of, I'm proud of my dad. I love him very much. And my goal is to sort of, do what my old man did for once in my life. And I'm getting there. But the wife's sitting here now with her hands in her face like this, going, what have you shown the world? She wants a guy, mate. So I wouldn't be surprised in the next few months, mate, if I've fallen asleep and it gets snipped. But sorry, mate, it's probably not anytime soon because barbers and hairdressers are all closing too due to isolation. So I'm stuck.
Yeah, well, then Abby gets hold of you, then you are stuffed. But I just want to finish on this, Dennis. You're an absolute champion. The work you've done, as I said in the opening, for anyone that's tuned in late, go back and listen to the introduction that I gave Dennis, and he deserved every bit of it. The work you've done, Royal Children's, Odyssey House, Parkville, Juvenile, your 145-game legend of the Carlton Football Club, mate. You've done something that a lot of people wish they could have done and achieved. But more importantly, what you're doing with your platform now to inspire, to move, to shift people to action, to be their best selves is quite inspiring, mate. And I'm sure that people got a lot out of this tonight. So I thank you and my utmost gratitude and appreciation for the time spent sharing that with everyone tonight. And for everyone that's tuned in, big love, big appreciation. I know that times are tough at the moment. I know that we don't know what's ahead, but I think in a lot of ways we can, as we've said today, you can pause, reflect, connect with each other, and use this pain and use this adversity to reach the stars and to create something more beautiful on the other side of this. So we'll continue these Facebook Live series next week with, I've got my mate Budgie on, who just completed a 300-kilometre run. Michael Donoghue, who tuned in tonight, who's done amazing things with mental health. I've got Ben Higgs from Sydney from the Rise Foundation. I've got Jamie Wolf, mental health advocate, and doing a lot of great things as well in the mental health and suicide prevention space. So keep tuned in. Remember to follow Fight Club. Keep tabs on everything they're doing. The girls program, the women's program, the 21-day reboot program, and the best meat program. As we said before, $9.70 when we leave this chat tonight. Buy yourself one, buy your mates one, and let's all go on the journey together so we can come out of this super duper and better than the people that we were when we walked into it. So big love and appreciation. I wish you all the best, and stay healthy, be kind, and remain grateful. See you guys.
Thanks, Matty.
Loving that dude.